At first glance, are you thinking Dyson's new Supersonic Nural hairdryer is the same dryer as the original Supersonic, maybe with a new paint job and a trendy see-through window? That's what I thought, but after reading some more about the new technology Dyson has built in here, I decided it was time to go hands-on with this new dryer for myself and see if it's worth the upgrade. In this review, I bought one for myself. I'm going to try it out here at home. I'll use the Supersonic Nural to dry and style my hair and show you what it looks like and talk about the experience overall. I'll wrap things up by going over the pros and the cons and letting you know if I think I can recommend this to you either as a brand new machine for your beauty routine or as an upgrade from the original Supersonic. Let's look at what you get. I purchased one of Dyson's special gift sets, which arrives in a leather box with a plush interior. Having received one of these boxes with my original Supersonic, I can say I never store the dryer in here. It's just too large and takes up way too much space. Instead, I put stuff in it in my closet. Onto the dryer though, the Dyson hairdryer looks completely different from a traditional one. For starters, it's shaped like a cylinder and open in the middle. It's flat on both ends, so it resembles a tube, and that's because the motor isn't in the head of the dryer like in traditional ones. In Dyson's case, it's in the handle. While the overall design mimics the original Supersonic almost exactly, there is the addition of a tiny new arm inside the cylinder. I've seen this referred to as the capsule and the time of flight sensor. This little stick may seem small and insignificant, but it actually runs the new attachments that now come with the dryer and manages automatic temperature changes based on which attachments you're using. And I'll get into each of those in just a sec. Dyson made the rear of the cylinder transparent so you can see some of the inner workings of the dryer. While this is kind of novel, I do feel like it makes the lights a bit harder to see, but maybe that's me. There are a handful of buttons on the back of the head. One adjusts airflow or speed and the other temperature. There's also a cold shot quick button on the handle. New here on the top of the dryer head is what's called the Scalp Protect button. This setting will automatically lower the heat when it detects that the dryer is closer to your head, and you can toggle this on and let it adjust automatically or shut it off altogether. Important to note is that if the Scalp Protect setting is on, you won't be able to manually adjust the heat on your hairdryer. If you want to dial in your own higher heat settings, you do need to turn this button off. The dryer has a long and heavy-duty cord. I was so wishing Dyson would find a way to remove the large and boxy electrical unit near the plug. I was actually pretty choked to find it still there. It makes wrapping up the cord and keeping it tidy much more difficult. I also had been hoping that Dyson would add some kind of Velcro cord wrap to help keep everything tidy, but again, on that front, I was disappointed too. I did though find there's more than enough cord for home users and probably even for a salon. My Dyson Supersonic Nural came with a handful of accessories which Dyson says have been updated, so let's go over them individually. There's an upgraded diffuser cone called the Wave and Curl Diffuser for managing curly hair, which actually splits into two parts. Diffuser mode uses both of the parts to deliver gentler airflow right to the roots with those rounded prongs. By removing the prongs, you can use the diffuser in what's called dome mode. Dyson said this changes the airflow to allow air to be drawn away from the head, which is apparently better for creating smoother waves. I tried these out just to see what they're like, but as someone with stick-straight hair, I'm not exactly the target demographic. There's what's called the gentle airflow ring that lets you get the dryer closer to your scalp. With its scalloped edge, you can actually touch this right to your scalp and it will automatically lower the temperature so that you can dry right up to your roots without burning. As you pull it away from your scalp, the Supersonic Nural will automatically increase the temperature again. I found this attachment worked really well, and it was a great way for me to get my scalp more thoroughly dry and create more volume. I was really interested in the wide tooth comb attachment. While Dyson says this should help stretch and lengthen hair for creating straighter styles, I found it was a great way to start drying while detangling. The comb does take a bit of getting used to, but it does a pretty good job at detangling and then starting the smooth drying process. Dyson has upgraded its concentrator nozzle so that it now uses a thinner and even more concentrated flow of air for more precision styling. I've never been very good at properly using a concentrator, but in the interests of this review, I tried it out, and it does definitely make it a bit easier to lock in those styles. The attachments all clip to the dryer face using magnets, and those magnets have been made noticeably stronger to avoid accidental detaching. In fact, even when I was pulling the wide tooth comb through wet tangles, I never once felt like it was going to come loose. There's one more attachment to talk about. A decade ago, ionic technology was the big buzzword to reduce frizz and static. Dyson seems to have dropped this term from all of its marketing and website materials. So does that mean this dryer has lost this ability? Not at all. The new flyaway attachment that now comes with the dryer is something that was previously made available with the Air Wrap, I think. Running this over your hair if you have any shorter hairs, grays, or flyaways, it actually does a really good job at encouraging them to lay flatter for a smoother look. Rather amazingly, and in an improvement over the original version, the Supersonic Nural here can recognize which attachment has been clipped in, and it will adjust the device's settings overall to deliver what should be optimal performance with that particular tool. And in case you're wondering, the previous Dyson Supersonic styling attachments will fit onto the Supersonic Nural hairdryer, but they might not be compatible with the automatic temperature and learning feature. Dyson Supersonic Nural will also remember my last used heat and airflow settings for each styling attachment and automatically use those next time. Now let's get to my personal experience with the Supersonic Nural. I usually only dry my hair 2 or 3 times a week, mainly to try and keep it healthy, but also out of laziness and work from home reality. With the Dyson Supersonic Nural, I didn't feel like my drying time was cut down significantly over the original Supersonic. I timed my dries and found it was basically taking the same amount of time overall to dry my hair with either Dyson dryer. Now, to be clear, the Nural is quite efficient and makes quick work of drying my hair, but I didn't see any big improvements in terms of speed or drying time personally. I quickly, though, developed a new routine when using the Supersonic Nural and its new tools. I'd start out with the wide-toothed comb and use that to begin the drying process while detangling my hair. With that done, I'd move on to drying my scalp with the gentle air attachment, and I found this really helped me more thoroughly dry my scalp and give me a little boost in volume too. I'd then move on to simply using the dryer without any attachments to finish rough drying my hair and then do sectioned drying with a round brush. The Supersonic Nural really only takes 1 or 2 passes down the length of my hair to get it completely dry and smooth. I think it did a really good job of giving me a nice bouncy blowout with its automatic temperature adjustments, and I've been really surprised that I'm still getting the style I want, but with less heat and less long-term damage. It's worth noting I did still need to flat iron my hair for that shiny, finished look even after using the Dyson. That hasn't changed from the original to the Nural version. So is this new version of the Supersonic a must-have upgrade? When it comes to the dryer itself, I wouldn't say there's a significant difference in the speed or airflow, but where I did notice a difference and actually welcome the changes is in the new smarter attachments. I love the detangling comb and the gentle air ring for getting right up to my scalp, and this has helped me more thoroughly dry my hair and create more volume, I think. If you think one of the new attachments would be a good addition to your hairstyling routine, I think this would be a great upgrade. And if you've been holding off on buying one of Dyson's hairdryers, now is a pretty good time to take the plunge because it really feels like the new technology is even more worth it. I'll touch on the noise level briefly. A rubber mount helps to prevent the motor from vibrating against the inside of the handle. Even so, the Dyson Supersonic isn't quiet, and the Nural doesn't make any gains here either. I used them side by side, and while I would say they both operate at the same overall decibel level, according to my untrained ears, the new Nural actually seems like it is running at a bit of a higher pitch, and it has slightly more of a whine to it than the original Supersonic. Not necessarily a problem or a downside, but something you just might notice. Another new and extremely welcome feature is what Dyson calls pause detect. This feature uses a motion-sensing accelerometer that understands when you set the dryer down, and it kills the heat and drops the airflow to very low until you pick it back up again. It's not quite the same as shutting it off completely, but I thought this might actually be better since it doesn't have to go through a full on-off cycle. It actually seems a bit more efficient to go from low back to high. Now, it does take about half a second for it to dial itself up or down, but I quite liked this feature. The Supersonic dryer has 1600 watts of power in case you're counting. While that sounds like a lot, it's actually quite a common number in professional or even drugstore hair dryers. It's the technology in this dryer that's making the difference. For those who might want to understand what's going on in here, you basically have a mini computer packed right into the dryer walls that helps keep the heat and the airflow even. Dyson also uses what's called its air multiplication technology to create more airflow through this dryer. The Supersonic takes that power and in essence forces more air through the tool, which gives this dryer its strong airflow. Overall, I really like the Dyson Supersonic Nural and in particular the new attachments. I love the fact it generates less scorching heat, but it still gives me the styles that I want. Let's go over the pros and the cons. On the pro side, this dryer is well balanced and doesn't feel heavy even after long drying sessions with long hair. I absolutely love several of the new attachments in particular. The wide tooth comb and the gentle air attachment for drying my scalp have been probably my top two favorites. I found that the Scalp Protect mode actually worked incredibly well at automatically detecting how close the dryer was to my head and adjusting its heat automatically. But it is also easy enough to switch that off and then go with a higher heat setting anytime I needed to. On the con side, if I were going to make any improvements to this device, it might be to make it quieter, because that would be another revolution in hair drying, and to get rid of the annoyingly large electrical box on the cable. I also really wish that this would have come with some kind of nice cord wrap to keep it all tidy. Dyson Supersonic Nural gives you more than the original Supersonic, and it even keeps the same price. Supersonic Nural sells for about $6.29 Canadian or $4.99 US on Dyson's website or from Best Buy. Bottom line, if you can afford this dryer and you dry your hair frequently, or you've got lots of hair, or you're starting to think about slowing the damage that heat styling can do over time, Dyson Supersonic Nural is going to be absolutely worth the money. I love it, and I've decided to make the switch from the original Supersonic to this version myself. Dyson has plenty going on in the hair care field. Check out a couple of its other devices or see what competitor Shark is up to right now.